He is sitting in a maximum security solitary confinement cell, completely isolated from the outside world. The concrete walls are thick, the steel door is heavy, and the silence is absolute. But somehow, in this exact moment, $1.5 billion, located halfway across the globe, has just vanished into thin air. This is not a magic trick, and it is certainly not a standard bank robbery. When they were 10 years old, these children did not study mathematics to pass a university entrance exam. They did not learn coding to build harmless video games or mobile applications. They were meticulously trained to dismantle the global financial system, piece by piece. 15 years later, these very same children, now fully grown digital soldiers, have just executed the largest financial heist in the history of human civilization. And they accomplished this unfathomable feat using merely 17 lines of invisible code. This is not just a theft of money. This is an asymmetric war waged in the shadows of the internet. And this is exactly how the invisible digital army of North Korea brought the world to its knees. Let us rewind the clock and step back into a world that was already crumbling. The year is 2009. The global economy is bleeding, still violently shaking from the devastating impact of the 2008 financial crisis. Banks are collapsing, markets are crashing, and nations are desperately trying to save their currencies. But in Pyongyang, North Korea, the crisis looks entirely different. This is a nation already suffocated by relentless international sanctions, entirely cut off from global trade, and starved of foreign currency. The regime is completely isolated, standing alone against the world. In this desperate climate, the supreme leader makes a cold, calculated, and deeply pragmatic decision. If the nation cannot earn money through legitimate diplomatic or commercial channels, they will simply take it by force. They will steal it from the very enemies who imposed the sanctions. This pivotal realization gives birth to Bureau 121. On paper, and in the eyes of the international community, this military cyber warfare unit does not exist. It is a ghost organization, operating in the darkest corners of the state apparatus. But in reality, it is the incubator for the most dangerous, disciplined, and ruthless hackers on the face of the planet. To understand the sheer terror of Bureau 121, you must understand how they are forged. These are not rebellious teenagers sitting in dark basements, wearing hoodies, drinking energy drinks, and hacking for fun. These are elite military officers. Their journey begins at the fragile age of 10. Talent scouts scour schools across the impoverished country, looking for children who display exceptional aptitude in mathematics, logic, and analytical thinking. Once identified, these children are pulled from their normal lives and thrust into rigorous, military-style academies. They are systematically brainwashed, stripped of individuality, and molded into intellectual weapons. They study advanced computer science, complex cryptography, and fluent English for up to 14 hours a day. By the time they reach their early 20s, they are absolute masters of their craft. They do not know fear, they do not question orders, and they have exactly one singular mission burned into their minds. Their mission is to infiltrate, destroy, and extract wealth from the capitalist enemies of the state. Their first true manifestation on the global stage was a statement of terrifying power. The year was 2014. A massive American entertainment conglomerate, Sony Pictures, was preparing to release a comedy film that mocked the North Korean leadership. To the regime, this was an unforgivable insult, an act of cultural warfare that demanded immediate retaliation. Bureau 121 unleashed a digital firestorm. They infiltrated Sony's heavily guarded corporate network with terrifying ease. They stole gigabytes of highly confidential emails, unreleased blockbuster films, and sensitive employee data. Then, they systematically wiped the company's servers clean, leaving behind digital scorched earth. The cyber attack cost Sony an estimated $100 million and completely humiliated the corporation on the global stage. While the public laughed at the leaked Hollywood gossip, intelligence agencies across the world felt a sudden, icy chill running down their spines. The Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency realized a horrifying truth. This isolated, impoverished nation possessed the capability to reach deep inside heavily fortified American megacorporations and tear them apart from the inside out. They could bypass advanced firewalls like they were made of paper. However, pure destruction and humiliation do not feed a starving nation. They do not fund advanced military programs. The leadership in Pyongyang quickly realized that they were sitting on a goldmine. The digital soldiers of Bureau 121 had proven they could break into any system on Earth. A new, much darker directive was quietly issued from the highest levels of the government. The order was simple, yet its implications would change the world forever. Do not just burn their servers. Do not just humiliate their executives. Go into their digital vaults, find their money, and bring it all back home. The era of digital vandalism was officially over. The era of state-sponsored, industrial-scale cyberbank robbery had officially begun. They planned to steal $1 billion directly from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. But a single, catastrophic spelling mistake saved the global financial system from absolute ruin. Let us travel back to the year 2016. By this time, Bureau 121 has officially evolved into a highly coordinated, ruthlessly efficient financial strike force, known to the international cybersecurity world as the Lazarus Group. They are no longer interested in hacking movie studios, leaking embarrassing corporate emails, or engaging in petty digital vandalism. Their eyes are now firmly fixed on the ultimate prize, the pulsing, vulnerable heart of the international banking system. They set their sights on the Central Bank of Bangladesh. Through months of patient, invisible, and deeply systematic digital surveillance, these ghost soldiers slithered their way into the bank's highly secure internal network. They did not smash through the front door with brute force attacks. Instead, they quietly mapped out every single operational protocol, every employee shift change, every printer malfunction, and every digital signature required to authorize massive international wire transfers. They successfully compromised the SWIFT messaging network, the highly trusted, encrypted backbone of global finance. Disguised as legitimate bank officials, they began issuing fraudulent requests, attempting to quietly siphon nearly $1 billion straight out of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The plan was an absolute masterpiece of digital espionage, executed with chilling, military precision. The operation took place over a long weekend, timing their strike perfectly when the central bank was closed, ensuring maximum confusion and delayed response times. They successfully moved $81 million into various bank accounts and casinos in the Philippines, where the money was quickly laundered into gambling chips and vanished into thin air, completely untraceable by international authorities. But then, the unthinkable happened. The greatest heist in modern financial history was violently halted. It was not stopped by a brilliant intelligence agent. It was not stopped by a sophisticated artificial intelligence defense system. It was stopped by a simple, almost comical typographical error. The hackers attempted to route $20 million to a non-governmental organization in Sri Lanka. However, in their fraudulent transfer request, they misspelled the English word foundation. They typed the word foundation. A mid-level routing clerk at a correspondent bank in Europe noticed this slight, strange irregularity. One single misspelled word raised a catastrophic red flag, instantly halting hundreds of millions of dollars in pending, fraudulent transfers. The hackers successfully walked away with $81 million, a massive fortune by any standard. But the spelling mistake cost them their billion-dollar crown jewel. It was a humiliating, bitter lesson for the North Korean cyber army. They possessed the technical genius of digital gods, but they were ultimately defeated by the spelling capabilities of amateurs. To any normal criminal syndicate, this near miss would be a devastating, perhaps fatal setback. It would trigger internal panic and a retreat into the shadows. But the Lazarus Group is not a normal criminal syndicate. They are an agile, state-sponsored military apparatus, deeply funded and completely immune to prosecution. They analyzed their unprecedented failure with cold, calculated, and terrifying logic. They realized that traditional fiat banking systems, despite their aging infrastructure and numerous technical vulnerabilities, were ultimately bogged down by unpredictable human oversight. A random clerk, noticing a spelling mistake on a Friday afternoon, was a chaotic variable they simply could not control. They needed a completely new hunting ground. They needed a financial ecosystem where transactions were instantaneous, where code was absolute law, where transfers were completely irreversible, and where human regulatory oversight simply did not exist. They turned their predatory, highly trained gaze toward the untamed, incredibly lucrative frontier of the 21st century. They looked at the exploding, multi-trillion-dollar world of cryptocurrency. The global cryptocurrency market was a digital Wild West, a chaotic landscape of billions of dollars flowing continuously through decentralized exchanges, complex smart contracts, and pseudo-anonymous digital wallets. It was the absolute perfect playground for highly skilled digital ghosts. But attacking these massive, institutional-grade cryptocurrency exchanges directly was becoming increasingly difficult, even for the Lazarus Group. The exchanges were rapidly waking up to the threat. They were deploying military-grade cryptographic encryption, highly complex multi-signature offline cold storage vaults, and strict biometric authentication protocols for their employees. A brute force frontal assault against these fortified digital fortresses would inevitably fail, triggering massive alarms before a single cent could be stolen. So, the Lazarus Group deliberately evolved. They discarded their old, outdated playbooks and engineered a new weapon of terrifying psychological and technical sophistication. They invented the ultimate, virtually undetectable supply chain attack. They realized a fundamental truth about cybersecurity. They did not need to break into the impenetrable digital vault. They simply needed to compromise the fallible, trusting human beings who held the digital keys to that vault. They stopped trying to hack heavily defended servers directly. Instead, they started hacking human trust, daily corporate routines, and the very software tools these multi-billion-dollar companies downloaded and used every single day. The digital monster had adapted, it had grown much smarter, and the financial world was completely, tragically unprepared for the absolute devastation that was coming next. You are sitting comfortably in your home office, conducting a final stage video interview for a life-changing position at a booming Silicon Valley tech startup. You are a highly sought-after senior developer. The recruiter on the screen is extremely professional, using a flawless American accent, asking highly technical, relevant questions about your previous coding experience. They offer you an incredible, unbelievable package, $180,000 a year, massive stock options, and the freedom to work entirely remotely from anywhere in the world. This is the absolute peak of your professional career, the dream job you have always wanted. The recruiter smiles warmly and sends you a simple, standard technical assessment file via a secure, encrypted link. Just download this quick repository. We just need to quickly verify your coding environment setup before we finalize the official offer letter. You confidently click download, extract the file, and open it in your development environment. Congratulations, you have just opened the digital gates of hell. You have unwittingly invited the most dangerous cyber army on the planet directly into the central nervous system of a multi-billion-dollar financial empire. The young developer's name is Kim Ji-hoon. He is 28 years old, living a quiet, normal life in a small apartment in Seoul, South Korea. It is September 2024. Kim is the absolute perfect target for this devastating, meticulously crafted social engineering trap. He is completely innocent, highly skilled, deeply ambitious, and completely unaware that he is currently patient zero in the single largest, most devastating financial heist in human history. The startup he is interviewing with does not exist. The professional recruiter on the screen is a highly trained operative, likely sitting in a nondescript office in a Southeast Asian country, orchestrating this elaborate, terrifying theater. When Kim clicked that simple download button, 17 lines of completely invisible, highly customized, perfectly obfuscated code quietly executed in the background of his machine. It bypassed every single antivirus software, completely undetected by any firewall. It was a digital ghost, designed specifically for this one exact moment. Kim thought he was securing a lucrative, life-altering career. Instead, he was quietly handing over the master keys to the inner sanctum of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange. Months pass in complete absolute silence. It is now January 2025. The digital operatives of the Lazarus Group are now deeply, irreversibly embedded inside the secure internal network of Bybit, a massive cryptocurrency exchange headquartered in Dubai. They did not trigger a single security alarm. They did not steal a single password. They simply sat in the dark, watching, recording, and learning every single microscopic detail of the company's daily operations. They observed how the system administrators logged in. They analyzed the complex, multi-layered security protocols, and they meticulously studied the intricate, highly secure process of moving billions of dollars between offline cold storage and online hot wallets. They learned exactly how the multi-signature, or multi-sig, approval process worked. Multi-sig is considered the absolute gold standard of institutional cryptocurrency security. It requires multiple senior executives, spread across different physical locations, to independently review, verify, and digitally sign any major transaction before the funds can move. It is designed specifically to prevent any single point of failure, human error, or unauthorized access. But the Lazarus Group had engineered a weapon that rendered this entire, multi-million-dollar security infrastructure completely, tragically useless. The night of February 21st, 2025, arrives. The hackers deploy their ultimate, terrifying masterpiece. They unleash a deeply sophisticated, custom-built malware payload that does not break complex encryption algorithms or brute force passwords. Instead, it performs a horrifying act of psychological and technical manipulation. It bends reality itself. It silently intercepts and alters the graphical user interface on the screens of Bybit's senior executives. Ben Zhou, the CEO of Bybit, sits alone in his office. He receives a routine, standard notification for a massive internal transfer of funds from cold to hot storage. This is a normal, everyday occurrence. He opens his highly secure, multi-sig verification portal. He carefully checks the destination wallet address. It is correct. He verifies the exact amount of Ethereum. It is correct. He meticulously reviews the complex smart contract details. Everything looks absolutely, perfectly legitimate. The system displays exactly what he expects to see. He confidently clicks the Approve button, adding his crucial digital signature to the transaction. But he is completely blind to the terrifying truth. The malware had instantly swapped the underlying destination address the millisecond before he signed. He saw the company's secure wallet on his screen, but his digital signature authorized a massive, irreversible transfer directly to a wallet controlled by North Korea. He did everything right. He followed every protocol perfectly. The other executives did the same, and together, in less than 2 minutes, they completely unknowingly handed over $1.5 billion to the most dangerous regime on Earth. The perfect crime was executed flawlessly, not by breaking the safe, but by simply tricking the guards into opening it themselves. You have successfully stolen $1.5 billion in a matter of 2 terrifying minutes. You are a digital ghost, operating halfway across the globe, completely untouchable. You should be celebrating the greatest heist in human history. But immediately, a chilling, catastrophic reality sets in. The money you just stole does not exist as physical cash in a dark duffel bag that you can quietly bury in the desert. It is cryptocurrency. It exists on a globally decentralized, completely transparent digital ledger that is currently being watched by thousands of highly sophisticated cybersecurity experts, international intelligence agencies, and advanced blockchain analytic firms. Every single transaction you attempt, every single digital wallet you move funds into, and every single digital footprint you leave behind is permanently and publicly recorded for the entire world to see. You have successfully committed the perfect crime, but you have accidentally trapped yourself in the ultimate digital panopticon. Welcome to the terrifying, high-stakes world of cryptocurrency money laundering, where the FBI, the CIA, and private firms like Elliptic are watching your every single move in real time. In Dubai, the sun begins to rise on February 21st, 2025. The sheer, overwhelming panic gripping the Bybit executive team is absolute, suffocating terror. Ben Zhou, the CEO who just hours ago personally authorized the transfer, sits paralyzed in his office. The devastating realization that his own digital signature, his own adherence to strict security protocols, was the very instrument used to orchestrate this colossal theft is completely unbearable. The company is staring down the barrel of total, catastrophic collapse. They have exactly 72 grueling hours to secure massive emergency funding, issue frantic public statements, and desperately attempt to prevent a catastrophic bank run from millions of panicked customers. But Ben Zhou's personal nightmare is just the beginning of a much larger, global financial war. He knows the hackers are already moving the funds. He knows the money is already fracturing into a highly complex, decentralized web of untraceable digital transactions. And he knows, with absolute certainty, that every single second he wastes, the money gets further and further away from Bybit's control. The Federal Bureau of Investigation's Cyber Division in Washington, D.C., immediately launches a massive, coordinated international response. Their objective is clear, yet nearly impossible. Freeze the funds before the Lazarus Group can successfully convert the stolen Ethereum into untraceable fiat currency or other digital assets. The FBI furiously contacts every major, regulated cryptocurrency exchange on the planet. They blast out emergency alerts, highly classified intelligence bulletins, and detailed lists of compromised wallet addresses. If you see any funds moving from these specific addresses, the FBI demands, freeze them immediately. Do not process the transaction. Do not interact with the funds. Just freeze them. But the Lazarus Group is not stupid. They anticipated this exact response. They have already initiated a highly sophisticated, multi-layered laundering operation. They did not move the $1.5 billion in a single, massive, easily detectable transaction. Instead, within hours of the initial theft, the malware automatically splintered the massive sum into 50 separate digital wallets, each holding exactly 30,000 Ethereum. They are not running one massive laundering operation. They are running 50 parallel, highly coordinated laundering campaigns simultaneously across the global blockchain. The sheer scale and complexity of the laundering operation are breathtaking. The Lazarus Group begins systematically emptying the 50 wallets. They deploy highly advanced, automated scripts to rapidly move the funds through a dizzying maze of decentralized exchanges, complex cross-chain bridges, and highly controversial cryptocurrency mixers like Tornado Cash. A mixer is essentially a digital washing machine for illicit funds. It takes cryptocurrency from thousands of different users, jumbles it all together in a massive cryptographic pool, and then spits it back out to different addresses, completely severing the transaction history and making it virtually impossible to trace the original source of the funds. The FBI and elliptic analysts watch in real time, completely helpless, as hundreds of millions of dollars are systematically obfuscated. They managed to freeze a mere $50 million at various centralized exchanges before the hackers can convert it. That is roughly 3% of the total stolen amount.